Hello guys, it's Psych here, and I'm going to talk about 5 things that I dislike about living here in Iowa. Now, this isn't a video to discourage anybody from moving here up into Iowa. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I am just simply trying to state a few things that I dislike about Iowa. And again, I actually don't even hate Iowa, but again, there's some things that I dislike about living here. I've lived here for a while now. I've lived here since I was a kid. We're quite literally, I've lived in Iowa since I was a kid. But here we go. Here's my 5 reasons or 5 things that I dislike about living here in Iowa. And one thing that I have always hated about living here is that everything seems to always be at least 2 to 7 hours away. Just anything significant in Iowa just seems to always be at least an hour or 3 away. Whether it's even something simple like a shopping mall like Walmart, which could easily be like an hour away sometimes, to your anime store, which could be easily 3 hours away, if not more, here in Iowa. They're just any certain things here in Iowa just are far away. Because a lot of the places here, there aren't really that many cities. Like there's Iowa City, there's Des Moines, and a couple of other, city places here in Iowa, but not really that many. And the rest of the towns here in Iowa are mostly small towns. So you pretty much are subject to just what you have in town most of the time. And even the town I live in here is basically a small town. I mean, this town here is just here in Newton, basically. I mean, the next point I'm going to make about Iowa here, I guess, while I'm at it, is just the fact that there's not much to fucking do here in Iowa. I mean, and yeah, like I was about to say, here in Newton, all there is to do is just drive around in circles, do pots, and eat fast food. And that's fucking it around here in Newton, here in Iowa. There just is not much to do around here. And yeah, it's kind of ridiculous sometimes that a lot of our restaurants here are fucking fast food restaurants. Because, it's because of the fucking druggies. They want fucking fast food. And the people coming off of I-80 here, which is right next to us, of course, they want fast food because they want to get the food that they need, and then they just move on to the next state because there's nothing here. The only time that there's really much of anything fun to do around here in Iowa is when they have their festival here once a year, the Iowa State Fair, which is the only reason why anybody outside of Iowa comes to Iowa, ever. I swear to God. And another thing about being here in Iowa is if you're able to deal with the taxes here in Iowa, because, it might be kind of cheap to live here in Iowa in lots of areas, but when it comes to the taxes, they're probably higher than any other place in America. And I'm not sure exactly why this is, but I guess it's partially just due to the fact that there aren't as many people that live in Iowa as compared to other states in America, because they've definitely jacked up the taxes here in Iowa, let me fucking tell you. But, if they didn't do that, we wouldn't have schools here and certain things here in Iowa, And as far as, especially for people that are moving here to Iowa, I'm not saying this about everybody here in Iowa because I'm not like this, but you might be easily considered as an outsider if you aren't born here or if you haven't lived here for a long time like me. And I just think that this fucking bullshit, because that is just making it even harder on people that want to move here to Iowa to a more secluded place because of the fucking people that are just too fucking paranoid because from isolation. in these small towns. Like these people in small towns, if they don't know who you are, then you're an outsider. But of course, a little bit more about being an outsider. When I say this, I would say the thing that I hate most about Iowa is just the simple fact that these people live in the fucking past. They seriously do. I mean, I would say at least 80%, if not more, people in the states are just living in the fucking past. I mean, they might have some of the tech that is current, but I would say, as far as, I mean, sometimes I just feel like I'm living in the fucking 1950s when I live here. When it comes to the social demographic around this area, and a lot of the people around here from the boomer age, they're trying to keep everything the same as it was in the fucking 1950s, and then even the people my age, they still think it's the fucking 90s. Sometimes they still think it's the fucking 90s around here. And so I would say on average, people think it's at least 20 years in the past now, as I speak. And here in Iowa, they think that we're living socially 20 years in the past. Even though that's not necessarily the case, they still think we are 20 years in the past socially. And I just think that's possibly the most ridiculous thing about Iowa. Because that's part of the reason why people, here, a lot of people I know here in Iowa just think I'm weird. I mean, of course, not everybody does. There's plenty of people that still like me, but there's also a very good handful of people that, I simply can't get along with because they're living at least 20 years in the past. They still think that gays are bad. They still have things against, black people or, I've got to say, because of this, I, in some way, think that Iowa is a bit of a weak link because of this. And this isn't the only state that's like that. I mean, there's places like Nebraska, and then there's even Kansas that's a bit similar to us, and maybe a couple of the neighboring, places around here. But, but of course, that's not to say that's completely Iowa's fault, because every time something is invented or becomes a big thing, it always comes here. Sometimes it won't get here to Iowa until like maybe 10 years later or a year later or something. Where always, because of the way Iowa is, everything has to be imported to Iowa still from other states around the U.S., which is how it's always been here in Iowa ever since the beginning. It was one of the last states that became part of the U.S. because of that, because there was nothing around here. Everything had to be imported here, which is still kind of like that to this day. So you can kind of see why Iowa is a bit behind on that, demographic. But, like I said, again, it's not like it's all bad here. I mean, I love this place, but at the same time, I fucking hate it sometimes. I have a love-hate relationship with the state, But, with that being said, I'll just stop the video, and I hope you guys live a good life. See ya.